Yes, well, NDI 5 was certainly one of our biggest releases, and it's not yet it's not complete, is it? But it's about to be. Um, NDI 5 really looked to, gosh, we actually had a lot of ambitions with NDI 5. I think, maybe first and foremost, we wanted it to work on every network, and we put a lot of time and effort into understanding some of the things that were typically in real world networks causing people problems. And we put a lot of effort into fixing those so that it just works. And, it's funny because in some ways that's not a feature, is it? It's really, people only notice what's not working, not
Of
what is
course.
working. But hopefully that's a key part of NDI. So we put a lot of effort into that. We put a lot of effort into improving the tools, but and you're going to see a lot of improvements there. But then, of course, making it work with remote, both NDI Bridge and NDI Remote were, of course, huge things for us. I think those are really, game changing in many ways. So when you put all of that together, it was a pretty big release, and we're just getting started. I say that every time, but it's true. Every time I always think with a release, gosh, I don't know how we do the next one. How do we make this jump again? And then within a month or two, very quickly start to find all sorts of cool new ideas and new things that can be done. And so I remain as ambitious and as hopeful as I've ever been about NDI. We've got great stuff out there, and we've got even greater stuff coming.
So my next question is going to be a real big jump, because let's skip the next few releases, finishing up NDI 5 and even 6. Where do you see NDI 5 years from now? I mean, I almost see it as like a foundation of video production. And by video production, I mean much more than just pro video too. I think video is everywhere. And I can see NDI being like the glue, the secret sauce that's holding everything together in the future.
Gosh, 5 years from now is hard. There's this very famous expression, isn't there, that it's really easy to overestimate how much change there is in 2 years, and it's really easy to underestimate how much change there is in 10 years. And you're asking me right the way in the middle between the two.
Because I thought that was the easiest one.
I know, but that makes it hard to answer. What I want to answer is just a terrible NDI answer, but is what I hope that the truth is. I hope that 5 years from now, you are all using video and nobody's even noticing that it's NDI, because just everything works with NDI and you don't even need to think about it, because that's the measure of true success, is that it's just there, it's just what everybody's using, and you don't even think about it anymore. And that's where I would hope to be. I hope it is really easy for everybody to use video. I hope it's, all of us can make shows. I hope that we can all communicate with our customers, and we've got the tool sets to do this, and it doesn't require experts. I don't know that we're going to be there in 5 years. I don't know that we're ever going to solve that problem. I hope we are, and I know that us in the industry are going to continue fighting for it. But that's what gets me excited. I almost don't know if I want to solve it, because that's what I dream of every day, and I don't want to. I always want it to be one step away, because it gives you something to fight for, doesn't it?
Well,
I don't think we'll be there in 5 years, but I hope we will have made some big steps.
Well, in 5 years from now, video could be more than just video. There could be augmented reality, virtual reality, and so many other layers to what video really is, and a whole metaverse that a new company or newly renamed company wants to launch on it. So there's no doubt in my mind that video will be the core to this, because it seems to be, your point is exactly, everyone and anyone can make video now. So we're just going to give them tools to make it better.
Yep. We need to make it so that it is not about your technical skills in operating the technology, that it's about telling a great story, and then the tools help you make it look good, sound good. And if we achieve that, then we've done something. And there's no reason that technology and computers shouldn't make it so that if you've got a good story to tell, that the computers solve all the technical problems for you, and it's just there's no barrier left between you and your story, and that should be our goal as an industry. And I think we're actually making progress in that, but we've still got a way to go.
Well, one of the things that's happened in the industry over the last few years is consolidation. And one of the great examples of consolidation is you guys yourselves being, acquired by the Vizrt group. And one of the interesting things, I think, is that it was NewTek and Vizrt, but NDI is another brand, another nameplate. It's really a tripod, a triad of brands. So can you talk about that a little bit? And if you could share a little bit what it's been like for you to be, part of what was a big, successful startup tech, independent company, now being part of a bigger machine.
So, obviously, our world has changed, and I mean, change is good, and it's made us grow up and made me grow up a bit, which my wife would tell you, and is very good. And that this has meant that we can do a lot of things much better than we ever could have dreamt of before, and I think that is just a wonderful thing. I looking back, and I've actually had this discussion with the CEO of Vizrt. We've had a glass of wine and talked about. So it's 3 years ago. Would we do anything differently? And I think that the honest answer is no. I look back 3 years from now and wonder how. I mean, it's been great. It's been wonderful. I think that it is even though we're quite different companies. We both believed from the beginning that software-based technologies were going to change the world. And so, we shared a common philosophy. And I think that together we've put together, probably today there's still a lot of people who look at Vizrt Group as a company and go, well, this doesn't make a lot of sense. But then look around the industry and find another company that sells products that help kids in schools, and the same company makes tools that are used, on the air every day with CNN or Sky or BBC. Yep. We cover and impact this market in a way that there's very few other people, very few other companies that do. And I think it's just amazing being part of that. And, that's what we set out to achieve. And I think that we continue to achieve that. It's the challenge is we've given ourselves a hard act to follow, but that's probably a good position to be in as well.
So we talked about Viz, we talked about NDI a little bit. This next one, I want to talk about some of the workflows that I see coming, because from the very beginning with NDI, I firmly believe that pro video production was kind of the proving ground of NDI, but the potential was going to be so much bigger into things like video conferencing and AV conferencing. And we've seen that with how NDI has merged with Zoom and Teams already to be a part of it. Then I look at digital signage and medical, and I see this stuff all coming together. And Adam, if you just throw up the graph we put together, it's almost like a Venn diagram where I see all these things overlapping with NDI being in the center and the cornerstone of it. And I think what you said is such a great point, that you'd like to see a future where no one even understands that it's NDI or Pro AV or AV conference rooms. It just works. So talk about that convergence that you're seeing and how fast you think that's coming along.
I mean, there is just no doubt that there's massive convergence, and I've been saying this at interviews I've given for many years, but one of the greatest things about NDI is that you talk to customers and that they bring up use cases that you had literally never thought about it being used for. And that is one of the most satisfying things to me. That there is you can find about this online. You can go and look at, I think it's called AT&T Discovery. Huge downtown block in Houston, I believe. Huge displays on the side of buildings, and it's all driven by NDI. Who would have thought?
Amazing.
We talked to medical companies. You listed those. We talked to signage companies. We talked to people making theme parks. We talked to casinos. And the thing that everybody is doing is needing to communicate by video. And the world has been taken over by computers and IP networks. And so you start to put those pieces together. And you create just a wonderful opportunity for technologies like NDI to just flourish and to enable all sorts of people doing all sorts of things with video that continue to surprise us and make it so much fun to be part of this.
I see that for three reasons. Number one is NDI really lowers the cost of entry for someone who wants to start a video system fresh. I see that the flexibility you get from NDI, where anything can go to anything and it's two-way, giving you almost unlimited creativity. And then the last thing I think is so incredible is it just scales to literally infinity. You can always just put in bigger switches and run more cable, and it just keeps growing and growing. And now, with the early NDI5 and things like Bridge that you've talked about, we're going to be able to go to outside of the local network and actually go out to the wider area networks and even the public internet. So it's just amazing what's going on to me.
Oh, there's no doubt. And, I was smiling there when you said, and it can scale to infinity because, however big you make it scale, you've got to find somebody who tries to scale it to infinity plus one.
Cool.
And, there was definitely some companies out there really pushing the limits, and you're like, wow, we didn't really design it for that. That's wonderful. And it's just really cool to see, there are, it's funny, often we don't even know about them, and then I'll talk to some TV station somewhere and we'll say, gosh, how many NDI streams are you running? And they're like, oh, we're about 3,500 streams at the moment. You're like, oh my goodness, just the memory taken to even store all those names and get them off the network is huge. And 3,500 streams, and
it's stream 001, stream 002, stream 003.
I know it's remarkable. So yeah, and that's wonderful. It's just so cool.
And now I want to dial it down to more of that was kind of macro stuff, a more micro thing. From the very beginning of NDI, I felt one of the things I would love to see was more audio, like an NDI audio mixer, because the one thing we've learned through our various studios and our various shows is that great audio makes your video better. Average audio makes your video and bad audio makes your video unwatchable. So audio is such a critical component to this. And I'm just going to ask you straight out, when's NDI from audio going to catch up to all these great things you're doing in video?
That is a great question, and it's something actually very close to our hearts and thoughts. So first of all, let me just say how completely correct you are that it. I mean, look, we spend ages on audio and ages on video, and then it's really audio that makes the show, isn't it? But you're completely right. And the founder of NewTek, Tim Jennison, used to always say that the audio makes video 100 times better, and that it's often overlooked. So you're just completely hitting that on the that nail on the head. To answer your question, though, I think that audio is different. It's different in a number of ways. It is interesting that the vast majority of audio in the world is still analog, and that is absolutely not the case for video. So there's something different about audio, isn't there? If your question is when are we going to see really easy integration of NDI audio into audio into NDI environments, I really hope so, and it's actually one of our goals is to make this easier and easier. And I can tell you, this is I'm saying something that's actually quite a bit out in the next releases of NDI, but it really is our intent to make sure that we start to fill this gap between enabling audio along with video. I think NDI, it was born in the video world, but we want to make it interface with the audio world really, really well. And so we're definitely talking to a lot of the big players in the audio world right now. But I think that we're looking to come out with some revolutionary approaches to making it interoperate with audio that hopefully will surprise people. And in the way that NDI did at the beginning, I don't want to say too much, but we've got some cool, innovative ideas there that I hope people will be very pleased with.
I love almost getting you in trouble. That's how I know it was a good interview.
I know, I'm really skirting the line here. But
I'd love to see some NDI audio mixers. I'd love to see some microphones that were audio based, maybe even wireless microphones taking advantage of the technology. I think there's a whole lot of opportunity there, but I also understand that audio has been very established for a very long time, and it's a lot older than video, and you're having to move a lot bigger mountain to get those guys to want to talk to you and work with you. They kind of have a very established ways of doing things, including using IP, so it's a little bit more challenging, but I'm happy to hear that you guys are going to go after that next. So I need
to say, there was there's been incredible innovation in the space, and we're talking, there were a lot of companies who are doing really amazing things and definitely not trying to stick with the status quo. So I've got to say some of the partners we're working with there are doing some quite remarkable things and are really great companies to be working with who are making us think about things too. So I see a lot of innovation in the audio side as well, and hopefully we can bridge that gap and make some NDI innovation help audio and some audio innovation help NDI, and that'd be really cool to see, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So my next question deals with partners a lot, and that is, we've got NDI Bridge coming soon out of NDI 5, SRT, REMI, cloud video productions, things like the Bird Dog Cloud, LiveView's got a cloud. There's the whole SRT Alliance. We know where we're all going. We're all eventually going to the cloud, to remote productions. Tell me how you see NDI fitting into that, where you see NewTek being a part of that, and more importantly, how you see those alliances. It seems like we're all going to become pretty codependent pretty soon.
Yeah, so this is a difficult question, and I'm not quite sure that the answer is as obvious as I think a lot of people in the industry, think they are, and I'm not going to actually pretend that I know all the answers. I mean, I think that the view that everything's going cloud might or might not be correct, and I know that I am really going against the status quo and saying that maybe it's not correct. But let me just explain why. I'm sitting in my office right now staring at my camera. My camera is local to me, and you've got cameras local to you, and you've got displays local to you. And inherently, somehow, live production is, and I can't see this ever changing, is going to be predominantly devices that are local to people, because it's just, a camera by definition needs to be local to you. And the monitor, you need to actually sit and look at it. I'm looking at the
glass on each end, right?
It has to be there. So let's just think about the show, which is technically speaking a remote show, isn't it? I am in San Antonio right now, and you are not. We are running remote, but let's think how many pieces there are in this production. And on my side of this, I've got a camera and I've got a monitor and I've got a webcam and I've got my microphone. So I've got 4 or 5 local pieces. You've probably got 10 or 20 local pieces.
Oh yeah, we have a TriCaster TC1. We've got cameras. We've got screens. We've got this. Yeah, we've got yes.
Yeah. So okay, and we've got one remote piece which is connecting you to us.
Yep.
So when we say everything is going remote, is it really? I'm not so sure, because I think that we've just shown that in a typical show, there's a lot of pieces that almost certainly need to be local. And so I think this is more complicated. I think remote and the, NDI and NDI Bridge and SRT and what lots of people are doing plays a fundamental role. It is I am dialing, we are talking now over a remote connection, a bidirectional remote connection. And that is absolutely key to your show. You couldn't do your show without it, but there are still a lot more pieces that are local. So how this all goes together, I don't think that it's quite as obvious as people think. And that's why I'm not so sure. I think that the video industry could still surprise us a bit here, and that it's really easy to say, well, look, we're seeing more and more remote, so the natural conclusion is going to be everything goes remote. And I'm not sure if that's right or not. I think that we're going to end up in some complicated world that is a combination of both, where we see remote really add some amazing capabilities to what shows can already do, and probably fundamentally change shows, so enable them like this. But there's still a lot to, I don't know how all of this goes together. I think that is going to be fun to see. And I see that not as a given. I see it as an exciting area of innovation that's still going to happen. So I guess I'm trying to look at it in a way that there's still some exciting things to discover here that maybe aren't as obvious as we all think. I love that. Fun anyway.
I love that answer, because to me, video is the biggest chunk to try to move over a public internet. We know the data files are used. It's got an audio sync component. There's a lot of things that can go wrong with a video signal. And I like where you're going. You're almost saying that it's like a bunch of nodes that'll be connected through almost like a mesh, of which, yes, some people may be living and operating directly in that mesh, but there'll also be other nodes. But it's not going to be something where it's all just living up on someone else's computer. I'm still going to have a camera. Someone's still probably going to have some kind of control surface or something he's touching to control everything. And there's going to be glass everywhere seeing what's going on.
Yep. And the compute might be in the cloud, might not be. I think that look, I've got an iPhone here. There's teraflops of computer in modern cell phones. There's teraflops of compute. So while we all talk about the cloud, we also forget that the highest density compute growth is actually in mobile devices.
Right.
How all of this goes together is really exciting and interesting. And I think that there is so much room for innovation in all of this. And I would encourage everybody not to take the outcome of all of this as a given, because that makes it much less exciting.
So I'm going to
there's some really exciting stuff going on.
I'm going to throw you a curveball question you got me thinking of is, do you think our phones could become like NDI endpoints in whatever our workflow is, where maybe we're plugging a better camera into it, or maybe a monitor or something that's bigger, but our phones would be those devices that we use to connect everything, because they are computers after all, right?
They are. Yeah, they absolutely are. And yes, but it's complicated, isn't it? Because so it's tempting to think that things like PTZ cameras should be less important today. I mean, look, after all, phones are really great cameras, aren't they?
Yep.
And yet more and more people are using PTZ cameras. And when you sit down and think, well, why is that happening? It is the fact that you don't need to pay an operator to run them, and a single person can probably control 3 or 4 at once. And in a show where people are the limit, you need to pay people or have lots of friends, which is a problem for some of us.
Or volunteers if it's worship.
The fact that you can run a bunch of cameras remotely off one person, that is a huge gain that outweighs a lot of other advantages. So there's a lot of complexity to this, which is what makes it fun.
So the good news is you now know you still have a job for 5 years, because there's a lot of stuff you still got to do.
Absolutely.
Cool.
More than 5 years, I hope. I think there's still there's a lot of innovation still needed here. So even when we're all in the metaverse.
So speaking of innovation from NDI and Vizrt and NewTek, one of the things we know is that there's the graphics that you talked about that are being seen on CNN and Fox and Monday Night Football and all that stuff. Then there's basic graphics that we all have to put in, whatever our production is, whether it's a lower third or a basic score or just, a clock. But I look at it, you're a phenomenal graphics company that now owns a phenomenal company in live switching and video production in NDI. And I just wonder, could we see an affordable NDI graphic device, something that a church could use just to bring up, the verses and some basic stuff, that a high school could use for some nice sports graphics that are better than what they can typically accomplish, but still give you that broadcast, animated Viz magic to the whole thing. And I know there's graphics built into the TriCaster, but I'm thinking more of a device that would be an NDI device that, regardless of what switcher or mixer you were using, as long as you were NDI, you could bring graphics into your production at a whole nother level. So I guess I'm designing a product for you to deliver to me. Can you do it?
Let me first of all, let me answer this by saying there are some amazing graphic solutions out there today, and there are I can think of 10 or 20 truly amazing graphics products out there today that can solve almost any problem that you have with graphics. And and that can be either a hey, we just want nice titles, or hey, I've got this particular kind of scoreboard and I really want to make an automated, updated graphics something. One of the great things about NDI is that there are loads of solutions and they all interoperate today. So just do a web search for NDI graphics, you're gonna find a lot of stuff. If the question is to us, we've always tried to do things that that don't fit with what's everybody expects. We want to innovate and do great things that make it easy and exceed people's expectations. And I don't think that I don't want to be the company that just takes something from one market and put it in another. And we're going to do better than that.
Yeah.
And if we want to make Vizrt quality graphics, and we need to work out how to make those accessible to everybody. And that's the real challenge, is not doing the graphics. The real challenge is making them accessible to everybody. And if you think we aren't thinking about that and lots of other things, you don't know us.
Oh, I know you, and I know you are. Sometimes I got to give you the layup, the easy one. Yeah. But this was a great show. I want to thank you so much. I think we got some great information. I think you shared some stories that maybe people haven't heard before, which is the whole point of why I wanted to do this. So this was a fantastic interview. We thank you for kicking off NDI November. And as I end every show when I have a guest, I like to say, the last words are yours. whatever you want to say to our audience, take it away, Dr. Cross.
You know, the thing that everybody wants to know is when NDI Bridge is coming. And I'm not, everybody who's watched me talk knows that I try not to give away dates, and it's got ingrained in me right now that I don't. But I'm going to get the closest I've ever gotten. Expect it in the next week. And
awesome.
This is the first time I've said that anywhere. So, Gary, I have good news for the end of your show, I think.
Excellent. That's excellent. And what I want to add to you on that is because that's your going thing, I'm going to give a follow-up question. Quickly and simply, what is NDI Bridge? What makes it so magic? And why are you so excited that you're going to get it out now? Okay,
NDI Bridge is I think NDI Bridge is really, really important. I think that what NDI Bridge does is it's not just a way of I need to give you a slightly long answer on this one, which is when we started looking at NDI Bridge and when I started talking to people about remote connections, I believed that the problem to be solved was how do you just get a video stream from point A to point B? And in talking to people, I realized that that wasn't the actual problem. The real problem was around how do you get 10 sources and how do you manage them and make sure it all works and that the bandwidth between them is shared. And the real problem, what it boiled down to, is how do you connect teams in different places who want to work together on video? That is the problem that I think NDI looks to solve. That is not the same as saying, how do I just pipe a stream about? I don't want even people to think about how we actually do the piping. We want to connect different pools of media together. We want to make it so that, Gary, you can work with us here in San Antonio, and our San Antonio team can have our graphics team in New York work all together and work on productions together. And that is what NDI Bridge is. And that's, I think, something different from how a lot of people are thinking about it, which is that it's just a way of connecting video. It's much more than that. And I think that this is going to be, revolutionary. Now, I know that when we release something with ambitions this big, that we're going to put it out there and learn really a lot in the process. And I really, really look forward to doing that. And probably the NDI Bridge of 5 years' time is going to look very different from the one now. And we will have learned a lot of things that we did right and wrong. But I'm actually really excited about this. And I know that I'm speaking for not just me, but the whole team here. I think we're pretty proud of what we've done, and I really like the way it's turned out. So everybody's going to see that really, really, really soon.
One thing I can promise you, and your users can promise you, and you will promise you about NDI Bridge is within weeks, people will be using it in ways that you never thought they would try to use it, or expanding it to things that you never intended to use. And you really have, I think you've opened a little bit of Pandora's box with this product, only because it almost could be that great connector that connects everything in the NDI world. So the name Bridge is a fantastic name for it when people think of it in the larger thing of how bridges bring things together as opposed to just a bridge being from point A to point B. And I'm super excited about it because I can't tell you how many times we stumble into something where we just wish we had a little bit extra connectivity with that remote guest. If we could just do a little bit more there. So super excited about that. Thank you so much for being on the show. And have a great one. Watch all our other shows. And everybody, Dr. Cross, what can I say? Thank you so much. You are the man, the godfather of NDI on the Video Guys Live show. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really love your show. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you. And now we're going to tell everyone what's coming up with our whole NDI November. November is NDI. All our shows will be featuring NDI content. We kicked it off today with Dr. Cross. Next week on the 9th, we have NewTek coming in, and they're going to talk about different practices for connecting things. On the 16th, we're going to focus on networking and netgear. On the 23rd, NDI PTZ cameras. And on the 30th, a wrap up with many different people who've appeared on the show and maybe some others. We're really excited. Register on the videoguys.com website for NDI November because we have giveaways, free stuff. We have NDI Education, NewTek University, NDI Performance Media Networking, the class and the exam so you can get certified. We have the folks at Bird Dog giving us a Bird Dog Flex. We have an NDI webcam from PTC Optics. We have NDI software, Wirecast, your choice, Wirecast Pro, Mac and Windows. And we have the NDI Guidebook, tons of free prizes plus other goodies. Register now, register from the videoguys.com website. Today's show was a fantastic show to kick off NDI November with Dr. Cross, the godfather of NDI himself. I want to thank everyone. Please tune in next Tuesday, 3 o'clock, for the rest of our NDI November shows. And then remember, even when it's not November, we're still going to be doing Video Guys Live, teaching you all about the products we sell, the technology, and all that good stuff. The usual hype comes now, like us on Facebook, love us on YouTube, share our videos, all that good stuff. Help spread the word, share us with your friends, tell your friends and everyone about all the great knowledge you're getting from Video Guys on these shows. This is Gary from VideoGuys.com. See you next week. Bye. Peace.
Join us next week, Tuesday at 3 p.m., when NDI November continues with a live demonstration and discussion about NDI technology from NewTek.
Video Guys is available Monday through Friday. Give us a call at 1-800-323-2325. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram to stay connected with all of our updates. And you can like us on Facebook. Keep an eye out for our live videos, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.
If you're looking at the latest cameras for your streaming setup, you may have noticed that NDI technology offers some interesting capabilities for both control and networked signal transmission. Wirecast live streaming production software integrates the latest NDI 5.0 technology to let you take advantage of all the features of NewTek's NDI protocol. NDI enables you to send audio and video signals over a standard network connection in real time, so you can easily bring in cameras and other sources from your network into your production, even if they aren't physically connected to your computer. Start by setting up an NDI-enabled camera on the local network where you are running Wirecast. You'll need to refer to the camera's documentation for this. Then, in Wirecast, add a source. Your NDI camera and any other NDI sources will appear in the network category under NDI sources. If your NDI-enabled camera includes PTZ capabilities, you can also use Wirecast's built-in PTZ controls to operate the pan, tilt, and zoom via NDI. Once your camera is added to your switching setup, you'll treat it like any other live video source. And what if you want to send out the live broadcast from Wirecast to display on an NDI-enabled monitor or bring it into another program? No problem. With Wirecast, you can send a live program feed out using NDI as well. To do that, go to Output Settings and choose NDI Output. Select your canvas size and click Start. Now, your Wirecast live program feed is discoverable as an NDI source on your network. To learn more about Wirecast, go to telestream.net or contact your local Telestream representative.